So, Season 9 of the SVS Leagues coming right around the corner. I figured somebody needs to make a short, freeform video focusing on the intention and expectations behind the compass rule, from which our referees and even players can use as a basis to assist their understanding of it. So, the reason for the compass rule is tied directly to the existence of latency and angle, and the way in which experienced sailors can abuse these mechanics. So when two ships start out, you'll notice that on each sailor's screen they're ahead, and they believe, and they do have, a good angle. So this is what's called a baseline fight. This is as fair as a fight is ever going to get. Both guns look exactly the same. They're firing at the same angle, and neither ship has an advantage over one or the other. But the moment a ship turns out, as Valkyrie has done, and where Sparkling Treasure were to turn in, now Valkyrie has a lead angle, and Valkyrie's guns are going to be falling into the enemy, and it's very easy to hit, and Treasure's guns are going to be shooting forward towards the enemy who's sailing away from their shots, much harder to hit. Therefore, when a ship turns out, if the enemy responds by turning in, they're manufacturing a false lead angle in which their guns are going to have a much easier time hitting, even at range, as opposed to the enemy who's shooting towards them. So what does this all mean? It means that when a ship turns out, you can't reasonably respond by turning in without submitting yourself to danger. So, how then, if we have established a border, does a ship respond when another ship turns out? And the answer is they expose themselves to a little danger for a little while. And then, when they're satisfied with the distance, they take it back. They become the ship who turns out. And the other ship has to respond in kind. They now have to yield what they have taken. And you'll end up with a fight like this, where the ships are weaving, they're dancing on the edge, and they're keeping it nice and fair. This is the best case scenario of a long range fight, is just dancing right on the edge, each ship's trading, coming in and out. But not a lot of sailors will want to do that. They'll want to establish dominance or an advantage throughout the entire fight. And so as a referee, it will be your job to ensure that they yield as much as they take. Great, so that all seems simple. The compass rule is designed to ensure that one ship can't just continuously turn out and abuse the other one into chasing them because they're doing a 1v1. So that problem solved, right? But there will be situations where situations arise where one ship rapidly exits compass range, and it's difficult to determine who is quote-unquote at fault for like if one ship were to hit a really long ram and the other ship were to respond by stopping. Now all of a sudden there's no real way for them to maintain that compass range easily. And who is at fault for creating this distance? Is it the person who rammed? Well, they're locked into that ram, there's not much they can do. Is it the person who stopped? Well, I mean, they're allowed to stop their ship, and you can't force the other person to stop, because that could put them into a jeopardizing position. So what can you do? Well, the answer is, as always, both ships need to play along. And when the referees see that distance has been created, they're both gonna tell the ships to turn in, and when a ship is told to turn in, they will be heavily expected to do so. And that's the way that you maintain equality in these angles, is that though they can skirt the edge, there's an extent to which they can attempt to manufacture that false lead angle once they hit the ropes. However, with that being said, most actual war sloop battles that are going to occur are going to look a lot less like a weaving dance and more like an attempt to get one to follow the other in order to inevitably create that angle. So you're going to see a lot of subtle turnouts, very subtle, that are going to over time gradually create a potent angle, of which the enemy ship who's been allowing it to happen has the right to negate. So in situations like just occurred where one ship turns out heavily, it is not on the other ship to follow them at all if they don't feel it's necessary to do so. And in a situation where a ship has just done something like that and is now way ahead on the angle, if the other ship feels that they just took a bunch and now they deserve some, and they turn out subtly or turn out heavily, they have a little bit to work with before it's too much, and then the other ship no longer has to follow them, because you have to give as much as you take, and it's going to be up to both the sailors and the referees to attempt to balance the scales and play along with each other in order to make the fight 50-50, in order to give as much as they take. So, that about wraps up my thoughts on the compass rule. I hope everybody has fun during Season 9. I hope everybody plays fair and respects the sailor they're going up against. And may the best among us win.